And welcome to Beyond the Bio. This week is a solo episode, and I haven't done one of these for a while, but this week I want to focus on LinkedIn. This is a topic that I get asked about a lot. I talk about it in my book, I talk about it with clients, and it's something we're doing a lot of training on at the moment. And people think that they're great on LinkedIn. Some people don't think they're great and they're not using it. But the thing that I find in common with everyone on LinkedIn is they can always do something to up-level their profile a little bit more. Now, the reason why you want to up-level your own profile is, well, there's loads of reasons actually. So one, if your profile is fully complete, then LinkedIn will reward you when you're posting out content. It will push it in front of more people. It will know that you're taking the platform seriously. But also, as I say often when we're doing LinkedIn training, if the only thing that you ever do with LinkedIn is to fully optimize your profile, that is a bit of a win in itself, because people will be looking you up. If you're having a meeting with someone, they're going to be checking you out. They're going to be having a little stalk. So let's make it easy for them to connect with you, to see the value in what you're all about, and just encourage those collaborations, the messaging, etc. So I'm going to take you through a profile and how to optimize it. So we will focus on my profile, and if you're listening to this episode, it might be useful just to go onto LinkedIn, have a little look at my profile as I'm talking, to really understand the bits that I'm looking at. I've made it really easy for you to connect with me if we're not already connected, because you'll find my link in the show notes for this episode. So when we go onto someone's profile, the first thing that we see is their profile picture and then their banner or their cover photo, whatever we want to call it, but the image that sits behind the profile picture. So with your profile picture, the biggest you're ever going to see this is going to be when you're looking at someone's profile on a laptop or on a desktop. Most of the time, you're going to see their profile picture either quite small on the app, or you're going to see them for the first time when you're searching for people, or perhaps they've commented on one of your posts, and it's going to be teeny tiny. So you want to make sure that your profile picture is pretty zoomed in on your headshot. It's going to be zoomed in. You want it to be in color. You want it to be really obvious that it's you, and with nothing distracting in the background, so that you're making full use of that space. Ideally, you want to be smiling a bit so that you look friendly rather than too stern. And as I say, you want this picture to be in colour and really obvious that it's you. Next up is that banner picture behind. Now, I often see people that don't have a banner, so it'll just be like a grey image because you've not put anything there. A holiday picture, so a nice beach snap or something similar, or maybe they're speaking at an event. And while that's better than having nothing, it doesn't really give anyone a call to action. It's not making use of that space as essentially what it should be, which is your billboard. So make it easy for people to see what you do and to connect with you. So if we look at my banner, we can see that it is very clearly in the branding of my business, Moja. It's got that distinctive black and pink feel. There is a logo above my head. My profile picture is not obscuring that logo. And I've got my strap line in the middle. I've got my responsibilities, my roles along the top. And along the bottom, I've made it really easy for people to connect with me. So I've got an email address and also the website address. So some clear calls to action. I've then got an extra image of me on that banner. And the reason why I like to have an extra image on the banner is because LinkedIn believe that the more people see your face, so whether that be in posts, whether that be in videos, the more likely it is that they're going to grow to know, like, and trust you. So let's make it easy and stick that extra picture on there. Okay, so that's banner and profile picture covered. So next up, we're going to have your name. Now, ideally next to your name, you're going to have that verification badge. Now, when LinkedIn brought verification in, it was a nightmare. I couldn't get myself verified. I know loads of other people had a problem with this, but it's a lot easier now. So as long as you've got something like a passport or a driving license, it should be quick and easy to do. So if you've put it off or you've tried it before and it was a nightmare, do have another go and get your profile verified. Next up, you'll see on my profile, I've got a little megaphone symbol. This is the name pronunciation tool. That's what it's called. And it gives you up to 10 seconds to record a clip. Now, some people will use this if they've got a hard to pronounce name, and that is what it is intended for, but you can do whatever you want with this. So get creative and make use of it. We've then got pronouns. So if pronouns are important for you to have on your profile, you can use the pronouns that suit you most, or you can make the most of the opportunity where you can label yourself whatever you want to be. So for me, I've taken the option to have that personalized approach, and I've just used it as a strapline for the business, getting you known, because that's what we do, and it's quite a clever way of making use of that section. We've then got the headline or the strapline for your profile for you. And what most people do in this bit is they'll have their job title. So they'll be founder at or HR director at. And that doesn't really tell anyone anything really. They're going to know this stuff when they look further down your profile or see what you're talking about. So instead, let's use this strapline to create a bit of interest. So you'll see mine is very snappy around how I work with people. So turning founders and execs from unknown to unforgettable. Now, this is quite catchy. I'm hoping that when I'm posting or when I'm commenting on people's posts, they're going to see that, because you can only see that first little bit and they're going to think, this is interesting. I'm going to click through and have a look at Sophie's profile. If I just had founder or MD at Moja, is so what? Like, that doesn't tell anyone anything. So although I do have my job titles and responsibilities further down in my headline, they're not the prominent feature. So have a bit of a play around with that and come up with something that's snappy. We've then got our location. So ideally you want to put the city, the nearest city that you're based in there. A lot of people just have United Kingdom or whichever country they're from. And that's too broad. It's not going to help you when people are searching. So try and make that a little bit narrower. We've then got the contact information. So your contact information, you want to have as many ways for people to contact you as possible. Again, you're filling it in more, but as well, you're just making it easier for everyone that is viewing your profile. So in mine, you'll see the first thing is my LinkedIn URL. So I've taken the opportunity to personalize this. Now, if you haven't taken that opportunity, it'll be really obvious because yours will have loads of letters and numbers after your name, and you definitely want to personalize it and ideally just have your name. Now, if you've got a name that is quite common, there might be multiple people with your name, and you might not be able to just purely get your name. In that situation, it might be that you want to stick a middle name or a middle initial in there just to help a bit. The reason why you want to do this, one, it looks loads better, it's a lot neater, but when people are searching for you on LinkedIn or on Google, you're going to show up a lot higher if you can personalize that URL. Other things that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have your business professional email address in there. I can't tell you the amount of times that I either see no email address or some old Google address from years ago. So get that in there. You can also then link to various websites. So in mine, I've actually got 3 websites listed. So I've got the Moja website, I've got the Sophie Milliken personal website that I use for my speaking, and then I've got SmartWorks Northeast website, which is the charity that I chair. So I can list all of those. Now, I do also have a phone number. It is the phone number for the switchboard in our building rather than my direct line or my mobile number because I don't want to get too overwhelmed. But I still think it's worth having that. And as well, I've got our office building address in there too. So loads of different ways for people to connect with me. And I need to make sure that I do keep that up to date with any changes. So that's the contact information. Next up, we have the About section. So this is your opportunity to pitch what you do and what it is that you're looking for. So ideally, you're going to want to have something that feels quite personal in this section. So something that's written in the first person, outlines clearly what it is that you do and how you work with people. So this, you're going to take the same approach whether you own a business or whether you work within a business. So ideally you want to set the scene around what it is that you do, how are you working with people, and maybe you're going to put something personal in there. So I've got a line or two in there about what I like to do outside of work, just to add that personal touch. And then you're going to want to finish off with some sort of call to action. So again, I often see people that have no call to action. They've written something that's quite impersonal. Perhaps it sounds a bit like the opening paragraph from a CV, or feels like it's been lifted from a website. So it's lacking that personality, and you've not broken up the text in any way. So it's quite hard to read. And then there's no call to action at the end. So as a minimum, you're going to want to invite someone to perhaps connect with you and drop you a DM or give an email address. I've broken my own rule a little bit because I've got 2 calls to action, but that's okay. And maybe you'll have 2 as well. But invite people to do something so that they're taking some action. After that about section, you're going to have the services section. And this is one of the sections where if you've got a paid for LinkedIn account, you're going to get slightly more functionality. Mine, I've just literally filled out the bare minimum because I don't think people spend a huge amount of time in that services section. I think anything where they're being asked to move away from the main profile page, I think people spend less time on. So you'll see on mine, I have filled out the bare minimum. I've linked through to various media, which I think is the real great feature of the services page. So I've linked through to the website, I've highlighted our podcast studio, I've highlighted our LinkedIn training. So I think it's useful to have a presence and fill it in, but I haven't spent tons of time on my services section. Maybe I'll expand it a bit next year and see whether there's an impact, but definitely fill it in, put some stuff in there, send people wherever you want to send them. Within that services section, you'll see as well that you can invite people to leave reviews. Again, I think there's a better place for those, which is the recommendations space on your main profile, but I'm happy to be proved otherwise. And if you've got a great services page, let me know and I will definitely check that out. Back onto the main profile, after the services section, we've got your featured section. Again, a lot of people haven't made use of this space, or if they have, they'll quite often pin posts. And the posts that they'll pin will usually be ego-driven posts, which we all do, we're all guilty of this, where it's the post that's got the most likes. But be ruthless with this. Have a look at your featured section and decide, is it there because it got loads of likes, or does it add value? Can I see at a glance from that thumbnail what the value is on me clicking through to it? Because quite often with a pinned post, you cannot see that value and you can't see the reason to click through. Within this featured section, you can add anything. So you can add video files, you can add PDFs, you can have images, you can have a newsletter. So if you've got a newsletter through LinkedIn, which I have, you can have that there. You could send them to your podcast if you've got a podcast. There are so many ways that you can use this featured section. So have a play around with them. One thing to note is you can have up to 10 things in your featured section, but as you'll see on a desktop, you can only see the first 3. And if you were on a mobile, you would only see 1 or 2, depending on the size of those files. So have the ones that mean the most, have those up front and save any other ones for further along. After the featured section, it comes to activity, and we're not focusing on activity in this podcast today. So instead, we're going to move on to the experience section. Now, with your experience, most people do have this filled in pretty well, but they miss a few tricks. So they maybe have just got the business and their job title listed, but they've got no detail. So as a minimum, you're going to want to be showing the impact that you are having or have had in a particular role. So this is where stats, quotes, stories can really come into play. So I'm not saying write War and Peace in this section, but definitely have some information. So have you saved a client X amount of money, or have you got a fantastic testimonial from a client that's been really happy? The other thing to note with the experience section is you can link to a website. So definitely make sure you're linking across to your website in this section because it's a great way to drive traffic. Next up, we have your education section. So this is where you can link a college or a university that you've attended. I recommend just putting the bare information in here. It doesn't need loads of detail. So just the course that you studied and link it to the institution. The reason why you want to link it to the institution is you're going to come up in search results and there's going to be some relevance there when people potentially are connecting with you as well. But you don't need to write every module that you studied or every grade that you got. So keep this section brief, but just make sure that it is filled in. After that, you've got licenses and certifications. So if you've maybe done any professional qualifications or you've got any specific certifications that are relevant, get them down, get them in there. We then have the volunteering section. So this should be separate from the experience section. So if you've got any volunteering activity in your experience section, move it into its own volunteering section. Now, this has to be quality volunteering. We can't have a litter pick from 2003 that you did one afternoon in there. It has to be something you've done over a period of time. So this might be a trustee role, a governor role, maybe you coach a local football team and you've done that for a year or so. Get that in there. Again, same format as you would have in your experience section. Where have you added the value? What have you done within that role? And also link it to the organisation's website. After the volunteering section, we've got the skills section. Now, I always moan about the skills section because it's been there forever, and I don't think this adds any real value because you'll quite often have been endorsed for skills that you don't even think that you've got, and definitely by people that you've never met who do not know whether you have any of those skills. So while it's there, I don't recommend spending any real amount of time on there or endorsing other people or asking them to endorse you. But it's there, fine. After the skills section, though, is a section that I do think you should spend some time on. And this is the recommendation section. So this is where you have given any recommendations, they will be listed, and any that you've received will be there too. Now, I recommend that you have a fairly even balance of both. So if you're someone that has been giving lots of recommendations, then please do ask for some, and vice versa if it's the other way around. I think that there are some natural opportunities where we can be asking for recommendations. So maybe someone's told you you've done a great piece of work, or you've had an email that's thanked you for something, or maybe you've given a talk and again someone said that was awesome, or they've sent you an email. So where you're spotting those natural opportunities, do just ask them if they would be so kind as to copy and paste that into a LinkedIn recommendation, and make it clear you're going to use it somewhere else as well. So whenever I get any feedback from a talk, for example, I'll ask them to post it into a LinkedIn recommendation, but I'll also tell them that I'll probably use it elsewhere, perhaps on my website or in my social media. So you can multi-purpose all of this stuff, which I think is an added bonus. But yes, remember to be giving recommendations as well. I try and get into the habit of giving one usually once a month or when I remember, just to make sure that they are fairly even. And do you know what? You'll make someone's day if you give them a recommendation out of the blue. They'll get that alert and they will be buzzing that you've done that for them. So a nice thing to do. The other thing around recommendations that I think make them so powerful is the fact that we can see very clearly that they're from a real person. We can click through, we can see they exist, we can see their role, and it does have that credibility, and it's really personal. So do definitely spend a bit of time on this section. Next up in my profile, I've got publications. Now, this for me lists the books that I've written, but it also links through to articles that I've contributed to. So if you've got something that can go in this section, awesome. If you haven't, maybe it's going to go on your vision board for next year and it's something that you're going to prioritize. Get them in there and get the links in there as well. We then have courses. So any course that you've done that's relevant to your role, whether it be now or in the past, get that listed, make it really clear what it was and how it's added value. We then have the honours and awards section. Now, if you're a regular listener to this podcast, you will know that I'm a huge advocate for awards. I think they can add huge value to you and your organisation if you do them well and you apply for and get recognised by really credible ones, not the scammy ones. So the way that I like to use this award section is the point where we get finalist status for an award. So we've been shortlisted, we know that we're being considered, then we will list it in our award section. So as an example, when we find out we've been shortlisted for Best PR Marketing and Advertising Startup for the National Startup Awards, I would list that in my profile and I would put what the award was, so the award category. And then in the comment box, I would say, delighted that we've been announced as finalists in this award. The winners will be announced at a ceremony in this month, this year. Wish us luck, something like that. And then the point where we then went on to win, which we did, I just took out the line that said winners will be announced and changed the word finalists to winners, and then just stuck a little winner update in the label itself. So even if we hadn't won, we would still have been finalists, and I would have just simply taken the date out and left the finalists in category. So definitely make sure that you've got all of your awards recognised in this section. After the awards section, we've got organisations. So this is where you might be a member of an organisation or an institute. So for me, I'm a member of the CMI, I'm a member of the Entrepreneurs Forum, I'm a fellow of the RSA. So I've got all of these things listed. And again, it's just linking you to these organisations and it's making it easier for people to find you. And it's going to add value and credibility to the role that you have. So get them in. The final section that we have on our profiles that we all have is this interest section at the bottom. And you'll see that there's 5 different tabs for the different areas of your interests. And you're going to have people that you're following, companies that you're following, newsletters, schools, etc. Now, this is where you can have a really great spring clean, because there will be so many old things in this section that are just completely irrelevant to where you're at right now. And the reason why you want to spring clean these is because every single thing that you are following, and some people have literally thousands of things across these 5 tabs, is every time they're posting, you're getting this stuff cluttering up your feed, and it's probably really boring. So let's get rid of it and tidy up our feeds. So just take a bit of time to go through each tab and unfollow any that are no longer relevant and just get rid of them. Have a big tidy up. And don't forget to keep scrolling, because you'll find that on some of the tabs, you get to the bottom of it and actually it then refreshes and there's even more that load. So do have a good tidy up of this. And this is going to help you just find LinkedIn a more fun place to be hanging out. So there we have it, a bit of a whistle-stop tour around how to optimize your profile. You want to do this, as I said, because if people are checking you out, you want to make it really easy for them to follow up with you and connect with you in a meaningful way. And also, if you're committing to being more consistent on LinkedIn, you want your profile fully optimized so that LinkedIn is pushing your content out to more people. I hope that these tips have been helpful. Definitely work through your own profile and make some adjustments, and let me know how you get on. As always, I'll see you again next week. Thank you for listening. If you're serious about growing your profile, take our free profile assessment quiz to see where you're at right now and get hints and tips on how to improve your score. You'll find the link to the quiz in the show notes. If you've enjoyed the episode, it would be mint if you'd subscribe, like, and leave a review. See you next Monday.